If you spend time on LinkedIn, Lara Acosta needs no introduction. She's a leading voice in personal branding who built a career for herself on LinkedIn and loves helping others do the same. Today, I'm chatting with her about how you can also use LinkedIn to get a job in marketing, even when you have no experience. She will also share her favorite LinkedIn profiles with best practices and how to make yours stand out. And at the very end, Lara will also share her number one secret that got her to the very top of LinkedIn. I think your content is amazing and is really inspirational for people who are trying to get into marketing. I, in my role, talk to a lot of students, especially who have no background or experience in marketing, but want to break into the field. And LinkedIn feels like the absolutely most intimidating place to start because it feels like the place where like everyone is kind of like flaunting their degrees and achievements. And how do you get started? Like when you don't necessarily have that to talk about, like when you don't have the experience, it's like a chicken and the egg problem, but you did it. And I think it's amazing and inspirational. So I guess my first question is that, like, for people who are trying to break into marketing, trying to get into this field, and they look at LinkedIn and they're like, this feels super scary. Like, what would you say to those people?
I think the first thing that makes people really scared about LinkedIn is the amount of connections they have from work, from like their old school, whatever. So as a fast starter, you need to stop caring about what people think because you're doing things to progress your career in your life. So everybody's going to cheer you on. Because the main thing that I spoken to every single one of my friends at uni was that they were like scared of feeling cringe. So the cringe, unfortunately, never goes away. I still have to climb the cringe mountain every single day. But now I get opportunities handed to me because I was cringe. The thing with social media overall is that you need to just embrace it and do the things that are uncomfortable because a lot of people aren't doing them. Then the second thing is having an optimized idea of what you want to be doing on your LinkedIn. There's too many people just posting updates of their life on LinkedIn, like, hey, I went to this graduate program event. Here's like a bunch of photos. And it doesn't give anyone any insights. For recruiters and like employees, it's different. Like they're looking for certain things. But if you're trying to build a personal brand in order to get noticed, maybe by like a bunch of companies that you haven't even thought of, or like getting opportunities from like a company like mine now, who like we're consistently hiring new talent, it's important for you to have like what your new portfolio, like on LinkedIn and social media overall. You can literally create a portfolio from like nothing. So if you want to start a new project, like, hey, I really want to get a job in like influencer marketing. So for the next month, I'm going to post 1 or 2 posts a month breaking down why influencer marketing is working in different like businesses and how small businesses could apply it. Then you're actually doing the work for all the people, so they don't have to interview you on that. And you literally give yourself like a golden ticket. Like I am consistently looking for people that know what they're talking about, even if they don't have any experience. Like the last 3 of my hires, I didn't even look at their CVs. I just looked at what they were doing. So we're like, I feel for me, and this is what got me to where I am today. I stopped thinking in terms of CV. I started thinking in terms of content, where it's like, how can I best represent myself right now? Because a CV isn't doing me enough justice. I know I can talk about things. I just need a chance. And my chance, I just built it. And that was through posting content on LinkedIn that was resonant to the type of career I wanted to have.
I love that. I have a lot of follow-up questions. I guess my first one is, do you think the CV is dead? Would you pronounce it pronounce it dead as its end?
I think for certain industries, 100% is. Like I know a lot of my agency friends, for example, that are consistently hiring new students, they still need the CV just to see basic information. So it's not dead. But I feel like for my industry overall, it's just more about what you can show. What is your portfolio? Who have you helped? If you haven't helped anyone, how have you gotten yourself results? I always say you are your best case study. So if you want to grow someone's influencer channel or like social media page on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, then grow your own and show people that you can do it. Like start making your track record. If you want to do influencer campaigns or like creative, then do your own creative campaign. Like you can just show people that you can do it upfront, so they don't when they get to see your CV and there's something that doesn't really add up, the proof is there.
100%. I mean, I think what you just talked about in terms of hiring, I do the same as a hiring manager. I look at LinkedIn profiles. I see what kind of content the people that I'm looking to hire are posting. And that's kind of become like my first impression. Like that's the presentation card. I think when I talk to a lot of my students, I think one thing, in addition to the fear of LinkedIn, which I think you've addressed, that it's just the cringe mountain is there. We just have to climb it. We just have to get comfortable hiking in those woods. I think the other thing that stops a lot of people from my perspective is this idea of like, I don't know what I want. Like I'm just starting out. I have no idea of what jobs are actually out there and which ones could be a good fit. And how do I even understand that without like going out there in the world and experiencing different jobs? Like, how do I decide what I'm about before I've actually experienced different jobs? And how did you kind of tackle that for yourself? Or what advice would you give to students or people trying to get into marketing who might be in the same kind of chicken and the egg situation?
I love this question because throughout our entire education, we are conditioned to just pick one thing. Like from the moment we graduate school in the UK, at least, we're made to write our personal statements, which are meant to portray what we want to be when we grow up. We're forced to choose that at 18. And then we think that for the entirety of our lives, we just have to have one thing that we're good at or interested in that the path. When you hop on LinkedIn and you start posting consistently more than 3 times a week, you realize that even talking about the single segment of like maybe it's marketing, there's so many different branches in marketing. There's like, personal branding, there's like copywriting, there's like direct to consumer, there's like emails, there's everything else. So then you're able to slowly venture off and try talking about email marketing, influencer marketing, maybe copywriting. And the more you try to talk about different things, the more you'll know what you're actually talented at, good at, and where you have your unfair advantage. But the reason why people need to climb the cringe mountain is because you have to be very bad at something to then be very good at it. When I first started, I was talking about influencer marketing. I am nowhere near influencer marketing now. I thought that was interesting to me, but what was interesting was the writing behind it and telling the stories. Earlier, you were mentioning my emails. So I wouldn't have known that if I didn't start telling the stories of brands and then telling my story, then telling other people's stories, then helping people tell their own stories. So it's a path that you have to force yourself to take, but you're going to be bad at it. You're going to be really, really bad at it. Your first post is going to suck. Then the 5th post is going to suck. The 100th post maybe is going to suck as well. But there's some sort of magic that comes with repetition and putting yourself out there, because what's bad to you may be amazing to someone else, and that may bring a lot of opportunities. Like I got my first inbound lead from LinkedIn after like my 5th or 10th post. I thought it was bad, but that person really resonated with it. But I wouldn't have known if I never posted that 10th post.
Totally. There's a curse of knowledge thing too, where you're like, well, I'm just writing really obvious things. Is that obvious to other? But it might be obvious to you because you know it and you have that insight or that knowledge or that understanding, and other people might not. But yeah, I love that your perspective on this, because I think it's true. It's just about starting in many ways, and knowing that, as you said, like you started with influencer marketing and you evolved, and like the evolution is going to happen inevitably, but it only happens if you start somewhere. I fall into this trap all the time. I don't know if you fall into this trap too.
Yeah, every single day. Yeah,
literally. Where I'm like, I must figure it out in my head and then do it, instead of just, I'm going to do it and then figure it out. It's like action first, and like thinking and figuring it out comes through action, not as a result of thinking. Anyway.
Yeah, there's this quote from Wes Cow. I don't know if you know her.
Yes.
From Maven. And then she's like, the typical route is like learn, do. What the new way should be like is learn, do. Because like at school, again, we'd study for a whole semester, and then we'd take a class and then an exam, and then that's it. Then we never revisit that. But when you're building a personal brand, when you're becoming like your dream person, you have to learn the thing, then do it to make sure that you know it, then you can remember it and you can repeat it.
Totally. And I think this sort of insight applies to your personal brand. It applies to marketing. If you're starting a business, it applies to that too. It's this idea of a lean startup of like, you don't need to have everything figured out before you actually do something. You should just do it and you figure it out along the way. So a lot of folks watching are folks that are trying to get into marketing and into using LinkedIn as a way to do that. It's like open doors of opportunity and potentially a job and a career that they love. So I guess my next series of questions are all around your best tips and practices for someone who maybe has like no LinkedIn profile or a LinkedIn profile that is not optimized. And I'm hoping that you can share with us some LinkedIn profiles that you love and then tell us why you think they're great.
Yeah, so my first profile is one of my good friends, Sophie Miller. She's actually one of the first people I followed on LinkedIn. The reason why I was able to stick to LinkedIn before I quit and getting cringed out of the content was because I found Sophie. So Sophie's approach is very simple, very friendly, and it's not the overly corporate message that we consistently see on LinkedIn, which is probably why a lot of people, especially students, don't want to be on LinkedIn because they think they have to be boring. This is not boring. This is relevant to our generation. This is relevant to also people hiring our generation. And then like the photo, it's just not corporate whatsoever. So for me, I thought of showing you guys this because you don't need to be crystal like perfect. You don't need to be super clean. You don't need to be like massively corporate. You just have to incorporate things that are some sort of like business related or like showcase your skill set. This exemplifies Sophie's skill set as a creative and as a marketer because the banner is super creative. The photo has a phone in it, which like means that she's always on social, like cognitively. And then we can see membership, speaking, consulting, the companies she's worked with. So the banner is amazing, but I wanted to pop into the headline. What I've noticed with recruiters that I've spoken to, I've been able to speak to a few, and they told me the one thing they look for, and it's not really the profile as much, it's really the headline. When recruiters see like the jobs coming through from LinkedIn, they only see the profile photo and the first 10 words of a headline. So here, you need to show exactly what you're doing. So for her, it's like director at Pretty Little Marketer, making social media simple. So there's two immediate thoughts that you have. Okay, she's directing her own business, maybe, or a business. The business is Pretty Little Marketer, which means that like it's about marketing. So therefore, if she was applying to Semrush and she wanted to do some work with you guys would understand immediately that she may be aligned with what you guys need. And then making social media simple. Then that's also like a very big problem that she's solving. So if you're a student and if you don't, or like a beginner, and if you don't know where to start with the headline and the problem you're trying to solve. So helping B2B businesses grow on social media, helping other people become better productivity, like increase their productivity. Stuff like that makes the world of a difference. Then obviously the content comes like as a main thing, but I'm just gonna leave it there with Sophie.
Yeah, I love that. I also love following Sophie, and I love her carousel content, especially because and I think this is also a great example, as you say, for people who are just starting out, because a lot of her carousel content is just her own perspective on what other brands are doing or news in the industry, which if you are just starting out, this is something that you can easily do, right? You have ideas, you have observations, you have a perspective on things. You don't need experience in order to post about those things. So yes, I absolutely love this example.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. The next person I want to show, his name is Joseph Rudd. So Joseph, I've known for about a year now, and I saw him starting building his personal brand. And now he's employed by one of the biggest personal branding agencies in the UK. So how did he manage that? If we go to his profile, it's not anything out of the extraordinary. It looks very normal. So then how did he get this position so quickly at this company? There were two things. One, his profile, he was building his personal brand. So he was just talking about, like I said, like we were talking about, what he was up to. Like personal branding insights, tips and tricks, his personal story, how he could help businesses. He was breaking down all the brands as well. So he was combining a different variety of things. I don't think it was mainly strategic. Personally, I think he was just trying things out and honestly exploring his curiosity. Like, what was he interested in talking about? There's a problem with beginners where you think that your strategy has to be crystal clear, perfect, and you can't really post about anything else beyond what you're being told to post. With this is, if you have one goal in mind, which is building something about marketing maybe, then all you have to do is talk about different things in that realm. So that's what he did. And he incorporated storytelling. And then now he's got this amazing job, which was really great to see. And the second thing he did, he was doing a lot of networking. So he was connecting with every single industry leader he could possibly connect. This is something a lot of people ignore when they go on LinkedIn. They either post and ghost, optimize the profile, post and ghost, or just never really make an effort to start building those relationships that may pay off in the future. So he went to a bunch of networking events, added all of these people on LinkedIn, connected with one person at this brand company that he's working at Kurobo. And now he's also, I think, he facilitated and it streamlined his application because people already knew him.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I was talking to someone recently in the team who has a quite large network of digital marketers. And he mentioned that for a period of almost 10 years, every week when he just started out in marketing, he would send a random cold DM to someone who had a job similar to either the job he had or the job he wanted to have. And just said like, hey, can we chat for 15 minutes? I just want to like share what I'm working on and would love to hear what you're working on too. And he built his network like, DM by DM in that way. And so I totally agree. I mean, especially, I don't know how you feel about people reaching out to you. I know that at some point, like years ago, me, total fangirl, I sent you a message and I was like, I love your content. And you responded, which I thought was so kind. But there's a lot of kindness actually on LinkedIn for a network that I think is perceived as quite cold. I myself respond to a lot of people, especially like, marketers that are trying to get into the field. I love sharing my expertise and helping others, like, as they say, like call the elevator or bring the elevator down. What is that metaphor? So,
I like it. That's nice. Yeah, I feel like LinkedIn is very, very friendly. People forget that the nature of LinkedIn is networking. Like that is its core value. So when people just naturally want to talk to others and learn, and for beginners or even advanced people, there should be less friction in trying to talk to new people. Like that's what you're there for. I try to think of LinkedIn as a massive networking event where you're showing up every single time and you're bringing your best outfit, right? Your best outfit is how you're optimizing your profile and how you're presenting your content. So if you want to look good, you have to wear your best outfit and bring out your best networking skills. Because if you go to a networking event and you're wearing the best outfit, but you're not talking to anyone, then there's not much point of you being there. Unless like you have this massive like already following that people want to come talk to you. But that's usually not the case. You have to make people want to talk to you. So how are you leveraging the tools that you have on social to create that like magnetism?
Yeah. And I think as you mentioned with Sophie, the outfit does not have to be business formal or business casual even. It could be like your real personality, and that actually might help you stand out.
Yeah, more often than not, even like the B2B businesses especially, they love the authenticity of like just people being themselves and not trying so hard to be someone that they're not. Because when people are doing that, it just shows. But when you're just being your most authentic self, even when you're speaking, even in the way you're like presenting your colors, like all pink, like all purple, all sparkles, people do enjoy that because so many people aren't doing that it's just like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, totally. Okay, Lara, so one more profile.
Yes,
for us.
I put so many because I got really excited. The last person I want to share is also my friend Isabel Cowell, who has had an amazing journey on LinkedIn as well. She's grown so quickly and she has now had 2 jobs, but she's also built like her own little side gig. She was a student as well while building her business, her brand. And there's so much to unpack here. So I'm going to try and be quick. So Isabel Cowell, she's now working at this very big brand, Lux Collective, which a lot of people I think may know because it's blowing up on TikTok so quickly. But she got her job because of a LinkedIn post, right? So the founder of that company was looking at people to hire, and over 1,000 people, I think, applied to that position, but Izzy got it because of her LinkedIn being so good. So how is it so good? Well, she had a different photo all the time, but it was like an optimized photo. Her banner said exactly what she was doing. And then her headline was like social media lead. Well, before it was something like helping businesses build their personal brands, and then some sort of like social proof, like how many people she's helped. So that's what really landed her the job. It was her profile being optimized, then all of her amazing content. She had like a track record of like going viral and creating very engaging and shareable content, which to the company, I assume when they hired her, they saw talent. Like her profile literally works as a 24/7 CV that never sleeps. So essentially, that's what you want to do with your personal brand. You talk about the things you like, you realize how to make them work for the algorithm, how to make them more engaging, how to use all of your experience to your advantage, even if you're at a different job, you're still building your personal brand on the side. Like that should never stop. And that's what she did. And now I know she's really, really super happy with the job she has. And it was all because of LinkedIn. So if you guys want to see a main example of what an amazing personal brand looks to get hired, to build your own side thing, or if you're a student, Isabel is the place to go because I learned so much from her.
That's a great example and very inspirational. Okay, so just to summarize some key things for the folks watching this that are updating their LinkedIn profile after this video, which I hope they do immediately. And also, I hope they go and they follow you because your content is so great and it has helped me improve my LinkedIn game significantly. I'm sure that for all our viewers, it'll be the same. So things I've heard from you that matter. As you said, like, what is that called? The banner? Like the banner. Okay.
Yeah.
The banner really matters. Having a message that you're communicating in that banner that showcases like what you are about. And again, or what you offer, I guess. And it doesn't have to be the be all end all. You don't have to be about the thing that you are posting, like writing in that banner forever. But you need to say something that is clear to the person that is coming to your profile. Otherwise, it's really hard to gauge like what is it that you are trying to do, correct? So the banner and the headline, both of those things should kind of work together to have a clear message. Is that correct?
I agree. Yes. So the first two things for me is like the profile picture should be clean. Like that's a non-negotiable. So like if students don't, or anyone, if people don't have a clean headshot, they should really invest their time to take one because it is the first impression you make. The second thing is the headline. It should really address the problem you're solving or like what industry at least you're trying to get to. Because recruiters only ever see the first two things. And even on the feed, that's the first two things you see plus the post. So it's a first impression that you need to make sure that you're making right. And then the banner, it is not as important to have like this massive message and like break your head trying to figure out what you're gonna say in your banner or like the design, and like it has to be super, super overly complicated because that's where people stop procrastinating and they stop trying. So as long as you have a clear banner with one or two main colors and then a simple phrase that just kind of summarizes what you're talking about on LinkedIn, even if you don't have any experience or like you're pivoting and shifting, then that's it. The thing with the banner is that it makes your brand look high quality. Some people just copy and paste like a banner from like Google. That just doesn't really reflect effort. And you need to be a consistent like frame of like what your, like a reflection of what your brand is and what your values are. And if your banner doesn't really match that, then people aren't going to feel gravitated and magnetized, like attracted to you. So it's those little things that in hindsight may not make too much sense, but in reality, they do make the world of a difference.
Yes, totally. So though the sort of like clearing up your profile and what it is that you offer, I think the other thing that I'm taking away from this is like ditch the CV, like LinkedIn is a 24/7 or like an ongoing vehicle for you to present yourself and your skill set and your interests to employers or potential recruiters. So work on writing more on LinkedIn, like sharing your perspective, your expertise, or your background, your ideas. Even if you don't have a ton of experience in marketing, it doesn't matter. There are things you can always talk about. And then I was going to say one more thing, Lara, and I forgot, like another takeaway. Oh yeah, be social. That was the third one for me for this conversation, which is like, you can connect with others, like comment on other people's posts, like reach out to people, DM them. This is, as you said, LinkedIn is like built for networking. So do that.
Yes.
For the main three things, are there any final words, Lara, for people who are watching this that are trying to use LinkedIn to get into marketing?
Yes, I will give you a secret hack that I used to network my way to the top 1%. And it was literally making a top 100 dream people list where I had massive influencers, my ideal clients, ideal connections. Sophie, Izzy, and Joseph were in that list, and now they're like my very good friends. So they were on that list, and all I did was compile it and add it to it over time, obviously. And I was like, okay, how can I best reflect what they're looking for in a connection in my content? So then slowly, instead of just posting content that I thought would resonate, I just looked at their version of what good content looked like. And then I was like, okay, how can I replicate this as best as I can? So then they feel more attracted to me when I add them when I send them a connection. Because the main mistake people make is that they just add people randomly to increase their connection count, to increase their following count, and then to just do it. Because some people told them to add connections. This is the wrong mentality. If you want to grow a meaningful network that will push you forwards, you need to make the effort with your content. So how are you best presenting yourself? And how are you how are you going to attract the people that you want to be like, right? You post content like them that may be interesting to them. The second thing is you need to send personalized connection requests. I have over 14,000 outstanding connection requests, and the reason why I haven't accepted them was because the majority of them didn't have a personalized connection request, right? There's no reason for me to see if they actually want to connect with me or if they're just massively sending connection requests, which is a main thing. So if you want to stand out, the bar is so low where people aren't even making the effort. So if you go, hey, Lara, I saw you recently on Semrush's page. I really like when you mentioned about the banner. I just recently updated mine. Would love for you to check it out. And if not, I would love to connect. Thank you and have a nice day. This is incredibly personalized. It shows effort. It shows that at least they spent a little bit of time looking me up. And then there's some sort of like positive insight, right? It's not asking me to do give them anything. It's not asking me to, hey, I just want to connect. Like there's no real vision or purpose. So be very purposeful with your connections. That will change your life, I promise.
Yeah, that's such good advice, Lara. Okay, so and like if people want to learn more from you, of course they should follow you on LinkedIn, and we will share the link to your profile below in the notes. Anywhere else where they can connect with you or work with you?
So you can find me everywhere at Lara Costa, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and my newsletter. That's literally it, where I just kind of have fun and talk about B2B LinkedIn.
Great. Before we started recording, I was mentioning that I love Lara's emails and her storytelling is just on point. So sign up for that as well. Okay. Thank you, Lara.
So
it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. To keep learning with Lara, you can find her on LinkedIn, where she posts awesome content. I've also added some helpful links to the bottom of this page. Hasta pronto.